Hey, sorry about that. I was swiping over to see if I could catch like some comments that were coming in, and then I think I just like swiped it all the way off. Sorry about that. So I'm gonna wait for Jennifer to come back in here. There is somebody on, so I'm assuming that's her. Great. And while she's connecting, she was talking about quotes and unique quotes. I was like swiping over to get the comments, and I think I just like I guess you can swipe off live. I'm like, it's gone now. Great.
Oh, that's okay. It happens. I've been doing a series with we're doing a local retreat, and I've been doing a series with her, and every time we've tried to go live, we've had problems. So it's totally not a problem. But yeah, the quote thing. So you can use quotes in different contexts. Though what makes it relevant for your audience is when you put the quote in the context of your business.
Yes. Okay. Got it.
So, for a lot of people, finances are scary and they tend to like bury their heads in the sand and not look at them and not deal with them. And so if you say do one thing every day that scares you and put it in the context of a quote of that lens is what's important. And I have a few other ones, but basically it's that. So I have like a bank of like 20 quotes that I'll often share, and I'll just add that context. And then that just kind of keeps me on top of people's minds and visible. And I actually learned a trick. Quotes are great also for when you have a Facebook page, like for your business. If you want to do an ad, like you can get people, because people will like the quote and then like the page. My biz bestie does that. I haven't done it yet, but she said quotes are great for that because people like to share them.
Good to know.
And then I like to pick foundational topics. So, people tend to say, oh, I don't know what to post. I don't know how to get visible. I had, especially when I was doing the networking, I'm still kind of refining my foundational topics for the data stuff. But I used to always talk about, in relation to my Cup of Connection networking events, like networking, connecting, collaboration, referrals, visibility. So I would always tie everything I talked about back to one of those foundational topics. And then I would also Google based on that. Or you can do like active listening in your Facebook groups that you're in by typing in networking and see what people are saying about it. Or type in finances and see what people are saying about QuickBooks. What are people saying about it?
I like that.
So for me right now, I actively listen by talking about, like I put in market research and see what people, like it mostly is people saying, oh, hey, fill out my market research survey.
Yes.
But so that way I can see if I can help somebody. So you can actively listen without ever getting on the phone because you're listening through searching on social media.
I really like that because even myself, I suggest this in the most annoying way, but it's like you always have to go back to your market research. You always have to, if you're changing your direction in your business, if you're changing your service options and you've never really done this area before. And I think people get really burnt out about to the community and getting feedback. So this is a really cool tip, guys. I'm literally taking notes. Take notes. One, it's really, really good.
What the best thing to do when it comes to market research, I even have a blueprint. It's actually it's the client connection blueprint. It shows all the different things that you can do online to continuously do your market research. So if you want to do it, I recommend once a year, but quarterly is ideal. And then there's options where, you can kind of get the blueprint and I can help you fill it out, or you can get the blueprint and I can fill it out for you every quarter.
Nice.
So to always kind of be on the pulse of that market research and that content, because
do that work. That's awesome.
Yes, that is my new start. So my business, I'm still doing the Cup of Connection networking because I absolutely love it. I think it's so valuable. Building that into a standalone brand that will be its kind of own thing. And my services have now changed to that data-driven business strategy, so specializing in the market research. Right. So for someone just starting out who maybe wants to learn how to do it, I have that consulting option. And then, if you just don't want to be bothered with it, I'm the one, I can actually do it for you for very, very reasonable cost. So you're always on the pulse of what your audience wants and needs.
That's genius. I really like that a lot. And it's for anything in your business. Like you could be starting out and have no idea how to market research or just don't know what your pricing structure might be. I mean, in this blueprint, do you do pricing structure, services? Like, how do you break it down?
So the pricing structure services, there's a section of the blueprint that talks about, and I know people believe collaboration over competition, but like it or not, we're competitors. There are people who are doing things that the same thing that we're doing, and so we have to be comparable or competitively priced. So there's a bit of an aspect to that blueprint that is look at your top 5 competitors or similar service providers, however you view that situation, and see what they're offering, who they're talking to, how they're talking about it, and how their offers may compare and contrast to yours. So that way you are competitively pricing yourself in there. Now, I do offer also that market research where I will actually do that for you and help you price a product or service.
Yeah, I think I could probably do it. No, for sure, I don't want
to. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt to be like, obviously you want to be, a portion of it covers your competitors, which are your immediate people, kind of a level above, a level below, and in that. And then it covers like your influencers. So like, for example, it would cover like Tony Robbins or Todd Herman or Marie Forleo. If they're people who are in your industry who you're looking up to, because that can guide you how they're pricing their offers and how they're doing their launches and what they're talking about. Like what's their content can guide your content. You can use their content as inspiration for your audience. And you can also help to see where there are holes in the marketplace that maybe you can fill, which is super important, especially if somebody maybe
This is genius. You're a genius, right? Like,
oh, thank you. I've been doing it for a very long time. So
you can tell you've been doing it for a really long time. So I'm a business strategist, but in a different way that you're a strategist. Like on the operations, like internal structures and strategy and the financial side. You're really focusing on the external, like the really, really big picture, the long down the road picture, which every entrepreneur needs to have that perspective, whether they get it themselves or they hire you for it. I think it's absolutely perfect. That's great.
I'm very much about competitive intelligence and business development. It's kind of looking at that long range picture and that long range curve. I call myself a strategist more because I can kind of tell you how to do it. And like, I'd rather teach you to fish than fish for you, because I do want you to know what you're doing. But, there's a level of I'm consulting and I'm strategizing. I'm going to point you in the right direction and guide you where you need to be. But that's very much my specialty of the strategy is that kind of long-term business strategic growth stuff.
And I can see in your content tips, so like everyone has a different perspective when it comes to content. Everybody has different advice when it comes to content. My advice differs from your advice. But I can see that your content tips all go into strategy. They all circle around each other. So really your point is don't just post just to be visible. Post with some serious intention that links with the value. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And I had one last tip, and it's a pretty fun one. I like to use it. I found this. I have all these, because I'm a Zoom instructor, so I have all these like old Shape magazines. And there was this article on like health and about going to the gym. And it's like 5 tips. So it's like pinpoint your motivation. Why are you going to the gym? Prepare to resist. Your body and your mind doesn't want to do it. Make it a routine. Seek the truth. Voice your support, tailor the plan. So like this article is clearly written from a perspective of health, but I can say, for networking, to promote my networking events, pinpoint your motivation. What's your motivation for networking? Well, your motivation is if you don't network, you won't have clients, right? And so you can take something seemingly unrelated to your business and use your foundational topics to create content your audience will love.
That's cool. I like that a lot. That's a great way to kind of just take a platform that's clearly working, like a structure that's clearly working, and just apply it to your business. I love that. That's so genius.
Yeah, and it's a week's worth of content. It's a week's worth, right? Because this whole thing would be your blog post, and then each tip is going to be a single day. So you're posting something that's really actually going to help people, and it's going to keep you visible, and it all comes back to your foundational topics.
That's amazing.
So I like to look through magazines and be like, oh, I'll tear it out or I'll dog ear it or tab it,
Yep.
and I'll be like, oh, I want to talk about this.
That's
so
perfect.
it's all goes into that strategy of that long-term ROI, and then I bring in other people, I recommend other people for the systems, for that stuff, because that's clearly
building the relationship too time,
yeah.
because you're more of your expertise. And before we kind of wrap up for this session, what if you have crazy brain? So I have crazy brain where I just want to get, I'm like thought process to paper. Like I just want to get it out there. I try and the themes, but I'm just not a committal routine person. Like, give us people with crazy brain some advice to structure this out a little bit.
So you might not believe this, but I'm also very crazy brained.
Oh,
I do not plan my content in advance. So
that's awesome.
Surprisingly, you
Right?
probably wouldn't think that, but that's the benefit of having, I call it a foundational content library, and it's also a service that I help with, is coming up with your content, foundational content topics, your list of quotes, your list of tips that are universal, so that you can always post them when you don't have a theme or when you don't have a particular topic you want to talk about.
Yeah.
You always have something, so you always be posting. So my suggestion is, what I would leave you with today is, if you have crazy brain, always jot down everything. I love to use, I have it right here. It's just a sketchbook from Target. It's
Cool.
just a sketchbook, and then I just write all my stuff on there. But for a foundational easy content library, I would say pick 3 to 5 foundational topics that you would always want to talk about.
Okay.
Find 10 quotes that you can apply to your business.
Okay.
And then come up with 10 tips that people can use, like maybe 1 or 2 sentences. And then you can rotate through that and then filter in your other content as you're inspired. And then you continue to build that library. So maybe every quarter, add 10 more, add 10 more, add 10 more, so that you have this amazing foundational library of content. And then you can filter in that other, when you get the crazy brain and you get the inspiration from random stuff, you can filter that in, and it'll seem like a bonus.
Oh, perfect. And when you're repurposing this content, this 3 to 5 foundationals, the 10 quotes, the 10 tips, how often are you posting? What's the repurpose cycle? Because people always get really worried about that.
So you can move that up to maybe 12. So if you think there's 12 weeks in a quarter, right?
Gotcha.
So you can do 10 to 12, but your foundational topics, you don't want 12 foundational topics, but you want your 3 to 5 foundation topics, and then all your quotes and all your tips to go around that. And then basically every quarter you would repurpose that. Gotcha. So I know that you pretty much only post in your group.
All I have time for.
Yeah, so that's understand. So that's what you would do, once every quarter. But then you would add different commentary. So different commentary to the quote every time you post it, or different commentary to the tip.
That would be really oh, what am I inspired with, or what's people talking about? Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Yeah. And then so what I do is, when I post in other groups, because I do provide a service, I will maybe if I post in 4, I'll just rotate them, and then I rotate through them over 12 weeks, and then I go back to it. And at least then you're being visible, and then you can add inspiration as it strikes, which is a really fun thing.
That is reasonable, especially if you're like me and you have crazy brain. 3 to 5 tips, 10 to 12 quotes, 3 to 5 topics, sorry. 10 to 12 quotes, 10 to 12 tips. I wrote it down, so I'm reading it. And I can't read my handwriting half the time. I feel like that's very reasonable. That is something that I can, over a whole quarter, I usually post a week. That would be very, very reasonable. I like that so much better. So where can we get, you have a blueprint? Is that available still for download?
It's available for sale. So anybody who's interested can contact me for that. I developed it because I'm going to be a guest expert in a messaging program, and I developed it specifically for that. So I have to kind of tailor it.
Sure.
But it's definitely available for sale. Okay. And there's other free resources at my website at insightinfosolutions.com, and you can find me on social media, Insights by Jen. And then I post pretty much all the time in Informed Entrepreneurs with Jennifer Wegman. So that's
cool. So
that's where I
just post in the link for sale.
Okay,
your website.
I will do it.
because
I will do that for
gonna
sure.
purchase your blueprint for sure. Like,
Oh, awesome. Yeah, it's such a great I don't have like the accompanying videos and all that, but it's like people can purchase that. If they have questions, then we can do a short 15-minute call
that's awesome.
and kind of go through it.
I mean, as a growing business owner, you'll see, like, depending on where you're at, like, phasing in your business, whether you're like first year, second year, whatever, as you get into the game, you start to realize the true value of being like, oh, you've already done all the research and you've packaged it pretty, and you are the one person who's been focusing on this for 10 years. Yes, please take my money, like, so I can move on with my life.
Yeah, it's such a great area to be in. I truly do love the competitive intelligence kind of market research area, because it's always good to know, because you don't know what you don't know. Nope. And so, the more that you know, the more prepared you are to adapt to change, because that's what businesses have to do. They have to adapt.
It's true. And this is for across the board, any industry, right? That you what I figured.
Any industry. I've researched, I was like as I said, I was in investment banking. So I researched everything from iron ore smelting to IT consulting to hospitals, and the process, the methodology is the same.
It's just like accounting. So, it's the same regardless of what you're doing. You're going to change a couple of things, but honestly, at the end of the day, you just want to know what your income and expenses are. Exactly.
And you should know. I fully do support that completely, because you really should know. You need to know. Yeah.
And so true. At least we both are really striving for the same things, which is like grow your business and do it in a way that's simple and impactful, for sure.
And it protects your profits as well by having that market research, even internally, and like a SWOT analysis. You need to know, like, even as simple as, what subscriptions am I paying for that I'm not using? That's all part of that research process. That's that internal, but protecting your profits is key.
I love that. So, protect your profits.
Yes.
Well, I genuinely appreciate it. I got a lot out of this personally. I know that people are going to be watching this replay. They're going to get a lot out of this as well.
Absolutely.
And, you might be using some fancy terminology, but at the same time, it's the same thing you're already doing. You might as well just do it better, right?
Yeah, exactly.
More clear. Well, I'm going to be taking advantage of your blueprint. I really appreciate it. I appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for coming in here again and sharing your expertise. You have just such a wealth of information, and I'm always happy to get a glimpse of it, even if it's once a year.
Your group has been one of my favorite groups. I think it's been over a year now that I've been in your group, and it's always a place I love to stop by, even though I haven't been as visible lately.
Fine.
Because I'm building the content stuff, and my son, he's getting therapy for his autism and all that stuff. But I always peek in a couple times a week, so I'm so excited.
We're always here for you, whatever you need.
Thank you.
All right, I'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for watching the replay. Comment, let her know.
Thanks, everybody.
Support. Thank you. Bye.